Hi there, my name is Patrysha with a Y, and my Y is ending family violence through education, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. And this is the third episode of Triumphant Tales, the online video show for survivor entrepreneurs. It's for entrepreneurs and want-to-be entrepreneurs who are living in or recovering from domestic violence. And in today's episode, based on the feedback from the first couple of episodes, I've heard you say that you want strategies and action steps that you can apply in your life. And this video that I recorded a couple of years back with prosperity maverick Kate McKay has that in spades. I know that I learned so much through this interview, and I'm hoping that you will too. Kate McKay will give you the 5 action steps for developing charisma and helping build that confidence that can lead to the changes that you are looking for in your life.
This is Kate McKay, and she is the prosperity magnet. How did you come up with a name like that?
The prosperity maverick? Well,
yeah, Maverick.
Maverick. So just because I'm the rebel yell, I mean, I've always been, as my mom says, too big for my britches. So it sort of rolled into a name that I've been using and have a lot of power and passion around. So it's fun.
Oh, sweet. So you're going to be telling us today about charisma.
Yes. Super, super cool. So just a little bit about me and my background. I'm a 50-year-old single mom. I built from scratch a multi-million-dollar company and started in 2008 as a stay-at-home mom. So I built a gold commodities company, which was a rockin' company and just absolutely insane busy. So what happened through that is I really had an amazing experience about understanding or re-understanding or re-investigating the word prosperity and how it applies on all different aspects of our lives. I'm writing right now a book called Living Sexy Fit. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is even though I built a multi-million-dollar company, people are very, very curious about how I can be 50 and still be in really great shape. And in fact, last year I competed in 3 national bikini shows, competitions, and placed in the top 3 in all 3. So it is thebomb.com. I'm really committed to, in particular, women embracing their inner confidence and their inner hottie, as I call it, because it doesn't matter what age, what race, what weight, what size. It is a transformation that begins from within, and I truly believe it. I'm lucky enough, and I'm going to cry because this is where I go when I'm speaking my truth. I am lucky enough to be partnered with amazing, amazing women and men, frankly, who are ready to transform and live their divine purpose. Bottom line is I think we're all here for that. So where it starts is having that inner mojo and that and embracing the self-worth and the self-acceptance and letting go of old patterns that no longer serve us, frankly. So game on.
Game on. So how long have you been a single mom for?
So with the success of my business, and I'm sure there'll be listeners out there that can relate to this, success has just as many issues as failure, frankly. It's a lot. We're used to failing, right? Because we fail oftentimes more than we succeed in such as the life of an entrepreneur, right? So what happened was with the success of my business, I all of a sudden felt with an abundance of financial abundance, right? So the beautiful thing about that is actually having the financial sweetness was that I was a different person. And I was a different person because I was empowered to make changes that were healthier for me. And so that really caused a shift in my marriage, frankly. And that's why the prosperity piece is so important, because so many women are in relationships that are, their soul is dying. And they're in relationships where they're not being fed emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So the beautiful thing about my business was I was partnering with not only the women that were in my business embracing prosperity, because I was basically financing 50, 60 women to start their own business and purchasing scrap metal, gold, right? Women's gold. So it was a gold party company. So the beautiful thing about that is not only was I helping the women that were in my business, but I was also partnering up with thousands and thousands of women that had all kinds of stuff in their jewelry box and didn't understand their worth of what was in their jewelry box. Interesting parallel, right? So they're thinking, the most that we heard were people put their gold on the table and they say, I'll be lucky if I get, if it's worth $50. They didn't understand the value of what they had when gold was historically at $300 and had actually gone up to $1,900 an ounce.
Wow.
So back of an earring's $10, right? Right. So we were writing out checks for women in 1,000, 1,500, 800, and they were literally weeping, falling off their chair, hugging us. Like I was Mrs. Claus for 4.5 years and embracing the view and being able to be present with people as they were celebrating what it was like to be in abundance. Oh, beautiful, right? It was literally, it was absolutely changed my life. And that was the whole, my whole soul behind my business and why it was my passion and why I became the prosperity maverick, because we were against all the jewelry stores and the pawn shops who historically, frankly, had not treated women in particular, because who is the one that has a jewelry? Fair or equitable. So we blew the lid off that market. They didn't like us too much. So I kind of had to be a maverick because we were up against that really powerful business. It's a powerful business, jewelry stores, think about it, right? And pawn stores, male dominated. So we paid fair value. We blew the water out of what they were paid, and I still made great money, and I was still able to pay the people that worked for me a ton of money. So that's the essence of the prosperity message. And I think the cool part is, and I'm really excited to talk about the confidence thing, because I have 5 action steps that we really can take to move into that space. I'm an action-based girl, so if you want to move into actions, come see me. The beautiful thing about it is that really what it taught me was that the power that I was born with, the resiliency that I was born with, the too big for my britches that I heard from my mom, which is a compliment because she understood and recognized that this little body had a really big personality. So for a long time I was dimming that light. And so with the success of the business, I all of a sudden realized, whoa, I don't have to dim my light. I can be as powerful as I was born to be, and I can be powerfully feminine in the way that I was born to be. So the bikini, the reason why I bring that up is because the bikini competitions and the figure competitions are about celebrating being strong and being feminine and uniquely defining that. And age is no restriction, body type is no restriction, having babies is no restriction. And so it's a celebration. It's a celebration. So my core, my reflection, my coaching business, my speaking business is about celebrating the uniqueness that each person brings. And what's not to celebrate, right, on that?
Kate, let's talk about charisma.
All right, awesome. Well, first of all, I'm like a word junkie, so I look up vocabulary words that interest me. And so I'm just going to read the definition of charisma so that we can understand it a little bit better. A special personal quality or power of an individual, making him her capable of influencing or inspiring large numbers of people. A quality inherent in a thing which inspires great enthusiasm and devotion. And number 3, my favorite, a divinely bestowed power or talent. It is truly my belief that we all hold a divine and bestowed power or talent. We're all uniquely defined. And so that is just a powerful image for me, certainly as I move into charisma. There's actually, I talk about charisma and having 5 different components because, again, I'm an action-based girl. I want to be able to give something that's a takeaway. I don't want to just inspire my clients and the people that I speak to. I want them to move into action and really move into self-love and self-acceptance. It's a big piece of what I do. So the whole thing about charisma, we know when someone has it, right? When someone walks in the room and we're just like, who's that, right? Dogs will come up to them. People are just smiling at them. There is just some joie de vivre, a aura around people who have charisma. So if you think about people in the media, Cameron Diaz, Beyonce, you name them, right? There's people out there that were just like, bang, they have something. Now, are those women, and also like George Clooney, we can certainly go over the men also that are part of that charismatic thing, but are they necessarily the most beautiful? Are they necessarily the most unique? the interesting thing about that is there's just something about them that is absolutely alluring. And what is that? For me, what I think it is that they have a really deep sense of knowing their power and strength. They understand what makes them unique. And it's obvious that there's a lot of self-love. There has to be in order to come into a room and bang it like that. It takes more than just courage to live in that confidence. Because confidence is an inside job. It truly is. So we all want a little bit of sprinkle of that as I describe it. So let's just talk about a couple little action steps that we can move into about it. First of all, just to say, I was a theater major, an actress growing up. I'm one of 9 children. So I learned very early on that I needed to find like a unique way to be in order to get attention, right? So for me, I was the classic ADHD kid. Right, you understand that, right? So what I decided to do was just be super, super charming. Because if I was really nice and I was really bubbly, then what would happen is I could get away with a little bit more than standard kids, right? So I learned to be teacher's pet so that I knew I could run up and down the halls. So I found a methodology that worked for me. And we all find ways at a very early age how we can get attention and how we can work our way through life. So that was my way, and I developed that at a very early on. So I am going to keep talking, but my battery is low. Hold on one second while I'm plugging in. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
On my computer. No. I'd hate to lose us. Here, conveniently my plug is right there. So the first thing I want to talk about is the whole idea behind exuding confidence. A lot of times people as coaching clients will be like, I just want to come to you because you're confident. What about you is confident? And so really what it is sometimes we really in life have to fake it till we make it. I mean, that's just the truth. We are moving into places all the time that makes us uncomfortable. This whole Google Hangout thing, new thing for me. Eek! On camera, right? First thing at 8 o'clock in the morning, woo! Right? So got my coffee here. So it's coming and moving into places where you normally wouldn't feel comfortable, right? So confidence and charisma is about putting yourself in places where you aren't necessarily comfortable. Being uncomfortable is part of the growing process, right? So it's really taking in that experience of being in places where you're not necessarily more comfortable and owning it and owning it. Now, when I was a personal trainer, the heart chakra is right here, right? So it's a powerful place for us. So people will come, whether they're coaching with me or when they were personal training clients, this was the body, right? Hi, I want to be really fit. I want to, hunched over and closed in. So the first thing that I would talk about is the whole thing about the heart chakra is getting your shoulders back and down and exposing this place. So the Valentine's Day is the perfect time to talk about the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is a powerful, powerful location in our body, but it also exposes a huge vulnerability. So we're vulnerable in this spot. So to be powerful is actually to be vulnerable. Right? Wow. But it's the truth, I promise you. There's an unbelievable book out there called Daring Greatly, and what it talks about is the power of vulnerability is what women in general carry. And that power is worth just as much weight as money, as being an extraordinarily good business person, as being a strong mom, as being an amazing friend. The power of vulnerability is big and juicy. So being able to be open, to open your heart chakra and to live in that power and understand the power of vulnerability is a really important step in getting your inner confidence in mojo. So I just bring that up because it's really important, especially on Valentine's Day. Let's keep our heart chakras open. And that's really just super important. I just want to bring that up. So the thing all about that too is when we're competing in a big bikini competition, and I'm only bringing this up because it's funny, that we women are beautiful, right? We come in all shapes and sizes. So I have some great assets and some aren't as strong, right? So I'm not going to say I'm weak, but some are not as strong. So I'll play up the good, right? So part of the inner confidence and mojo is playing up what you got, right? I mean, Beyonce is a curvy, gorgeous girl. Well, she plays up on that, Sandra Bullock, think of her. She's another one I love. On camera, the camera loves her. We look at her and we go, wow, she's like really awkward and like funny, but there's something about her because she plays up her goofiness, her, she's got that, so she that's another great example. So an action step on that first one is before you do something new that is taking you out of your comfort zone, really do a visualization of what that's going to look like and feel like as you move through that new experience. That's a really important piece, is the visualization. And imagine yourself being confident. When I compete in bikini, I got 5-inch high heel shoes, right? Crazy, string bikini, the whole thing, right? Well, I'll wake up in the morning in my last show in Las Vegas, and I woke up and I was like, I'm going to trip, I'm going to fall. Like all of a sudden, we know what I'm talking about, right? That circle where we get when we start setting ourselves up to failure. And I went right there. I'm being honest and true. It was a big show for me. And what I did was I went, stop. And so I revisioned. I said, when I come up, I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to move like this. And I picture the whole thing from the beginning to the end. Now, if I stumbled and fall, I can picture that too. And what do I picture myself doing? Laughing. Woo! Right? Because it happens. Sometimes it happens. We do stumble. And it's okay. And that's a part of the vulnerability piece, that even though we stumble, if we show our humanness, that's the part that people remember. And that's what people fall in love with, is our humanness. So stay in that. So visualizing the confidence despite the stumble in every part of your life, in all parts, right? Motherhood, it's a big one, right? I stumble through motherhood, but I give myself the power and the grace to know that in the end, I'm going to have really deep and wonderful relationships with my children. It's just what I hold very, very dear. So the stumbling through is just part of the process, and I love myself in that process because I'm trying my best and living in that integrity. Okay, is that cool? So number 2 is smile, and just smile. It's really that simple. I'm going to bring up a really cool personal story, actually, that meant a lot to me. I have 3 babies. They're 19, 17, and 12 now. But I remember after my daughter, I was having a tough time, right? 3 kids. I was a stay-at-home mom, full-time home. And I remember being, out of shape. I had just gone back to the gym. And I was suffering from, now I know, a little bit of postpartum. And actually, I will say it's more than just a little bit. So I was sitting on a bench and feeling really depressed, and I looked up and I looked over at the gym, and another woman was sitting over there, and she just looked at me and smiled at me. Huge smile. And honestly, that moment really shifted for me my darkness. One smile. And that was the beginning of a very big transformation for me personally, and it was a smile. So I bring that up as you never know what a smile will do for somebody else. Not only does it bring up the experience of being, who's that? I see someone else. Hey! Who is that? Hey! It's cool. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. I love seeing someone else. It's great.
Yes, Sherry's going to be.
Hey,
you're going to be joining us up afterwards.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming. So just that whole idea about, that smile and how your smile can impact somebody else in such a big way, it truly is. And the other part about it is our brain doesn't know when we're faking it. So even if you feel like dirt and you're like, hey, what's up? The endorphins are going to happen, and you're going to experience the transformation and the celebration within just by faking it till you make it. So it's smile, just practice it. Look at yourself in the mirror and go, hey, because I'm silly, right? The bottom line is I'm silly because it helps me be more resilient. So celebrate your silliness and celebrate your smile. It's cool. The third one is to talk to people, make friends, and act approachable. That's a big part of charisma, Frank. So just on the whole piece that I was just talking to you about, talking to people and making yourself approachable. Every single day I wake up and say, how can I be of service? Because what I really realize is that my confidence comes from being in service. That if I'm helping somebody, if I'm having one deep conversation, if I'm seeing somebody having, a mom pitching her kids pitching a fit at the grocery store, isn't it a wonderful thing to say, hey, can I help? Or smiling at her? Because 90% of those people in the supermarket are judging that poor woman. Is she in charge of her kid having a temper tantrum? No, it just happens, right? But we carry that, our kids being rotten. Well, smile at that woman, love on her. She needs it, right? Because we all understand that. So that story I was talking about the woman in the wheelchair, she was a competitor. Absolutely. And so I went up to her and I'm like, hey, girl. I'm like bent down. I'm like, can you tan my back? Because we put on this crazy tanning stuff. So I leaned over and I let her serve me. right? Because it made her feel that she was part of the experience. And it changed my life. She's a friend for life. And it's scary to reach out and help people. It is, because you don't know if you're going to get rejected. Get over it. People could dirty look you. They could be like, no, right? How many times does that happen? It happens to me often. But I'm like, whatever, right? So I'll find if I'm in a meeting or someone looks really nervous or someone's really looks scared, I'll be the first person I walk up to. Hey, how are you? I look forward to serving you. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. Because we're all seeking, and there's always people to serve. So that's a big part, is be approachable, and you watch your life shift. It really is amazing. So just throughout your day, action step on that is try to reach out to one person that looks like they need love, support, and to be seen and be acknowledged. Because the bottom line is that's the number one need of humans, is to be acknowledged. So go out and do it. And it's a wonderful place to be. The fourth one is leave your attitude at home. This is an important one. We all have a lot going on, and no one wants to be around a party pooper. So if you're moving into a new experience, and for example, calls drop, and what am I going to do? It's like, I'm going to call back again. Hey, right? Because life happens, right? Life happens. So we all stumble, and we're all, but we're here, we're high-fiving, we're giving each other the hands up, and things do happen, and things don't go our way, and we lose, but we get our heart broken, right? People that we thought loved and trusted turned out to betray us. It happens. It absolutely happens. Does it mean that we're all Pollyanna and nothing's ever going to go wrong? Absolutely not. That's not what positivity is about. Positivity is about celebrating resiliency. And we all have the ability to be resilient. But what's important, what's behind that resiliency, is self-acceptance and self-love. And knowing that we are all moving through transformation, and to embrace that wonderful place where we are at peace within ourselves. And that's something to celebrate. And if you're challenged in that space, reach out to people that you can love and trust, a coach, a mentor, a therapist, a really soul friend that is going to be there for you at your weakest moment. And it's building up new relationships, because what happens oftentimes when we move through transformation is relationships shift and change, and they become unrecognizable. So it's that part of the process where we really have to tune in here on what's true for us. How are we living in integrity and how we're not? Because inner confidence and charisma is really based on having your insides reflect your outside. That's why my fitness piece is such an important part, and why people are most interested in that, even though I'll tell you God's honest truth, my fitness is my personal journey. It's not necessarily about I'm feeling hot and I'm gonna win this bikini competition. No, it's about me going through and pushing through challenges of my own sense of inadequacies, and being able to model what resiliency is and feminine power is for other women, so that I can spearhead that movement. And it's super important for me. But my fitness really is a personal journey, and so for me to be able to, you never know where God leads you. I never thought I was at 50 being in high heels and a bikini, right? That's cray-cray, right? What about Betty Friedan? I was brought up to be a feminist. So, I'm even pushing through that resistance, right? To be uniquely myself, and we never know that. So just the action step for number 4, the part about leaving your attitude at home, is really know and expect that things are going to go wrong. They're going to go wrong. Things happen. But understanding that you can't prevent them, but you can be prepared that things will go wrong by just understanding it will, right? We know this now. And understand that really the gift is being able to model resiliency for other people. And just don't forget to smile. You got that. That's all good. Number 5 is celebrate your best you by bringing your uniqueness to the world. And I'm going to bring that up just again because I really think it's the most important piece. And I think that's why I was so drawn to this wonderful event that you put together, which is understanding that we're all unique and different, and we're all here to be our uniqueness and our wonderfulness as it presents ourselves. So our duty and our obligation to ourselves is to unearth what that is. And that's the part of the vulnerability game, that we can play in that space and really embrace our uniqueness and be okay with it, and understand that people are waiting for us, waiting for the true us. And that in that true us space is where we serve and where we're able to offer the greatest value for the world and for the people that are close to us. So this isn't, again, this is not always easy to define, like the whole thing, again, about transformation, going through divorce, losing a business, having relationships fall away. In that transformational space, we redefine ourselves in many ways. We get back to brass tacks on really who we are. And that's why, again, I bring up the coach, a mentor, a therapist, on really helping us figure out what that is and who we are. And a book that I use often, and I'm a reader and I'm a learner, so I love passing on really great tools, is a book called Strength Finder 2.0. I'm not sure if you know that book, but it's absolutely fabulous. And I use it in my coaching program, and I've, honest to engine, bought 150 copies of that book, and I give it to everybody. Why? Because it's a phenomenal tool. If we know where we are most strong and where we rock and roll, we can always up level places where we don't necessarily have, we're not necessarily strong, and we can build it up as a skill. But if we can define where we're really super strong, that changes our lives. We don't have to show up our weaknesses as much as uniquely define where we rock and roll. So that's a really important piece of this, is really defining where you're unique. And again, it comes back to that point that I truly believe that we're all here on a unique assignment. I truly believe you are. And my goal is to each day see people and be able to see their uniqueness and mirror it back, be able to say, hey, look at you. Hey, look at you. Hey, look at you. It's the greatest gift for a coach and for a speaker to be able to celebrate what people are showing you, because people will show you. If you show up honest and real, the most unbelievable thing about my life, and I have goosebumps right now, is what people will show you. And it's the ability, if you can show up with confidence and be real, the relationships that you'll build, change my life every single day. I cannot believe how lucky I am, and how fortunate I am, and how blessed we all are to be in an amazing relationship with others. So that is, I just want to add a little action step to that, though, which is, a lot of the times we'll find our truth in our silliness. So just play on. But life is so serious, right? But if you can add that silliness to your life, it's going to bring you to your truth. It just is. It's hard to take yourself too seriously and beat on yourself if you're like, giving yourself raspberries and giggle with your girlfriends, even through tragedy. I'm working with a really dear friend right now who's going through a very, very painful situation in a divorce. And we'll cry and we'll laugh equally, right? We're like, wow, this is just crazy, cray-cray, right? So living in celebration for yourself and your experiences, even when it's painful, and is a big part of the charisma piece. Dance more, play music more, and living in celebration is what it's all about. So I honor you and I respect all of you in your beauty, in your grace, and in your courage to open up your heart chakra and live in the vulnerability and the strength that we all are as powerful, amazing peeps. So that's it. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And that was my interview with Kate McKay from the Love Yourself Extravaganza in 2014. I've included notes to her personal coaching site, her book, Living Sexy Fit, and the resources that she recommended during that interview, Daring Greatly and Strength Finder 2.0. If you don't find them with this video, where you're watching this video, you will be able to find them at triumphantales.com in the show notes. Thank you for joining me for episode 3. I'll be back for episode 4 next week with more resources and strategies you can use to live a beautiful life in the midst of the madness that is domestic violence. Whether you're living in or recovering from it, we've got support resources for you at Patrysha.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week.